In life, we have love and affection from our family, friends, and partner in marriage. Having all these different types of meaningful relationships at the same time is seen as the ideal by Chinese people, and it goes along with what Confucius taught us. On the other hand, what does an ideal life look like for Westerners? According to psychologist Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top level of the pyramid is all about self-actualization and transcendence. In other words, Westerners believe that one should discover their own self-worth to lead a perfect life. For me, it is hard to wrap my head around this idea. What does it even mean for an individual, someone who's independent, to achieve self-worth? It appears that I am not Westernized enough, and let's face it, I cannot become fully Westernized. For us Chinese folks, happiness and fulfillment come from our accomplishments and successes that make our parents proud and build a bright future for our children. We feel joy and contentment from having a loving partner by our side. In these relationships, our values in life shine. There is a reason that explains why Westerners can feel happy through self-actualization without necessarily fulfilling the 5 relationships valued by the Chinese. After all, a long time ago, they managed to break free from the idea of having to stick to family clans or tribes. They became completely independent individuals and separated their self-worth from that of their family and relatives. How did they do it? They started this gradual process of breakaway since the Christian era began and finally succeeded after 1,000 years. To further understand this impact of Christianity, see the following passages from the Bible. If you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else, your father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. New Living Translation. The Bible, Luke 14 verse 26. The Lord had said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. Genesis 12 verse 1. So, when an individual embraces Christianity, they separate themselves from the family and become part of a larger group, the religious community known as the Church. As a result, over 1,000 years, Europeans became individuals who identified more with the community, and the importance of the family dwindled. For example, when a child is born, they have their biological father, but soon after, they get baptized and gain a godfather. As they grow a little older, they become part of the church, and the relationship between the child and the father becomes even more distant. Aside from being child and father, their relationship can also be defined as fellow church members. Do the Chinese people embrace individualism? Not so much. The Chinese are tied to the important people around them through the 5 constant relationships. In a way, we want to be a part of the important people around us. We need these relationships to thrive and be at their best state, which is defined by the 5 values of the 5 relationships. This is what we strive for in life as Chinese people. Today, we take a fresh look at these ancient Chinese thoughts and their significance. We must not confuse them with the ideology the old Chinese rulers and authoritarian regimes forced upon the people. Of course, many times throughout history, these ancient Chinese thoughts were probably used as ways to strengthen the power of the ruling class and to make people swear absolute loyalty to the rulers. That is the ideological part. Today, we must no longer see ancient wisdom in such a light. The wisdom of the ancient Chinese thoughts about life, such as Confucianism, is something timeless and real. We need to separate ideology and the truths they convey, making a clear distinction as we read the classics. Without this distinction, we might question if these classics would still be relevant in this day and age. It is only when we make this distinction can we truly understand what Confucius, Mencius, the Great Learning, and the doctrine of the mean are all about. These ancient Chinese thoughts need to undergo the test of the real world today. There is a need to modernize Confucianism because our language has evolved. We can no longer talk like the ancient Chinese. Here is the issue with modern Chinese: if we see it as just a way to express Western concepts using Chinese characters, then we are totally missing the point of the Chinese language. If Chinese were merely a tool for Western language and concepts, it would be depreciated. Therefore, we must remember that Chinese language will always be deeply connected to our ancient wisdom, and its power lies in how people use it in their everyday lives. For example, if I tell a Chinese person, "You must talk sense. How can you be speaking such nonsense?" they would get what I mean immediately, which is my criticism of their behavior and questioning of why they are going against common sense. They would not think I am trying to question them about breaking rational laws. That is not how they would interpret my words when they have a basic understanding of Chinese culture and its deep roots. Ignore those scholars who keep trying to correct our words using Western concepts and call it progress. They would say that speaking sense is the equivalent of following logical rules, and they think that is how we will make progress as a nation. But no, they are actually tearing down our spiritual home and sense of belonging. Let us delve into this interesting topic in another chapter. It is undeniable that the Chinese and Western cultures are mixing today. What will become of them in the future? This is the last point we want to touch on. In China, we have witnessed the rise of a market economy with Chinese characteristics, which has brought about a bunch of issues. However, in the future, China's market economy will maintain its unique qualities, hopefully in a more positive way. The spirit of Chinese culture will set boundaries for capitalist thinking and prepare people to move beyond it. The Chinese will no longer only speak the language of money and markets all the time. We will learn to keep it in check and not let it take over our lives completely. Nowadays, the principles of the market economy have taken over even our home life. Imagine a parent trying to teach their child to love and genuinely appreciate labor, and they hope to give their child incentive for doing chores around the house with a monetary reward. For example, they might say something like, "If you sweep the floor today, I'll give you $5, and if you also wash the dishes, I'll throw in another $5. The parent thinks that they are helping the kid form an effective habit of helping around the house and appreciating labor, but really all they are doing is unintentionally introducing the kid to the concept of being hired right in their own home. Helping out for money is disconnected with the idea of appreciating and loving labor. It is ridiculous to think that this tactic will work. Let's say you found the one, overcame all obstacles together, and decided to get married, so, hand in hand, you two head over to the Civil Affairs Bureau to officially register your marriage. The Civil Affairs officer will start by saying, "Congratulations." Then, immediately, they will say something like, "As citizens of modern society, it's important to have some legal knowledge, so I suggest you consider registering your premarital assets." As soon as those words are uttered, you and your love interest immediately catch the underlying message: you're getting married today, but don't forget to prepare for a possible divorce down the road. All of a sudden, logic and market principles snuck in. You understand that today is not just about getting married, but rather, about signing a contract. Before you put pen to paper, you must carefully consider the terms and conditions. You must figure out who has got what rights and responsibilities during the validity of the contract. Do we really want this kind of marriage? Most likely not. There is definitely some kind of problem here. Therefore, if we want to rebuild the spiritual foundation of our Chinese society, we need to start by reshaping how we understand and approach life. Our attitude towards life is crucial, and we cannot let the Western ways take over entirely and become the norm for Chinese people. The future of China's well-being and progress does not depend on our total acceptance of Western philosophy or conversion to Christianity as a nation. It is just not something that can or should happen. The Chinese language is a vessel for intellectual traditions of Confucianism, Taoism, and the fusion of Buddhism with Chinese culture. These three schools of thought have left their mark on the Chinese language and have become deeply rooted in it. No matter how much we learn from the West and dive into the world of market economy, we cannot neglect the importance of making our own market system healthy. Also, not all our problems can be solved with a healthy market economy. The key lies in rebuilding our national culture and embracing its spirit, which will set the foundation for a truly healthy and thriving market economy. You will not find an exact replica of the Western-style economy in Eastern countries. For example, Japan's economy is unique and different from Europe's because the logic of capitalism is deeply influenced and localized by Japanese culture. The same goes for South Korea, whose economy also differs from that of Europe. When Western economists and experts made predictions about economic trends in Japan's economy, many of them were not successful. The economists were left scratching their heads, wondering why their economic theories did not apply to Japan. What the Western economists failed to grasp is that when Japan's economy faced a crisis, their response was rooted in the spirit and culture of Japan. First, they avoided layoffs. To cut back costs, employees willingly accepted wage reductions to support their companies. This was something Westerners could not understand. Second, even fierce competitors in the market would come together and cooperate during tough times. Many European economists could not wrap their heads around this behavior either, hence most of their predictions falling flat. This is an important lesson, and China's future will likely follow a similar path.